Hey everybody, Portly Paladin back here again with an update. Yes, I'm aware that I've missed a few weeks. No, I'm not really that sorry about it. I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, it's the truth. I have had a couple of weeks where I wasn't happy with how things were going. I really didn't know what to say. Didn't really have time to do a video anyway. Normally I would have made time, but considering that I wasn't feeling great about myself and I wasn't really feeling great about my situation, and how things had been going, I just didn't bother. I honestly didn't want to bother this week either. This makes the third week in a row that I've gained weight. I am now back up to 500 pounds. I have never been as embarrassed and disappointed in myself as I am right now. I have cheated a decent amount. Not horribly. Not like anywhere close to the way I used to eat or anything. Just making some bad decisions here and there. Um, but I don't think I did anything ridiculous, and yet I still gained a decent amount of weight, and it makes me upset, honestly. I think back to the way I used to eat, and yes, I gained weight the way I used to eat, but not a ton of it, not this quickly. I mean, I would gain maybe 50 pounds in a year or so. So that's roughly, what, 5 pounds a month or so. And in the past month, I think I've gained 15. So it's way worse than it used to be by a pretty big margin. And that kind of irritates me. There were a couple weeks there where I felt, why am I even bothering? Why am I even trying? If I make one mistake, I gain all this weight. Um, I don't know. So at this point, I guess I'm just going to keep up with doing what I'm doing. We are kind of starting over. My wife did pick up new logbooks from Weight Watchers this week. Um, I think that may be part of our issue, or at least mine, is I wasn't writing things down. Um, so maybe I started eating more points than I was really thinking I was eating just because I was guesstimating at things. That could be part of the problem. I really don't know. So we started doing that this week. I am also making it a point to every Wednesday, and I started this last week, taking our farm share that we get, because we get it every Tuesday. I'm trying to use as much of that in our Wednesday night meal as possible to make it as healthy as possible. Other meals during the week are pretty decent, but I'm trying to make the Wednesday night meal and the Sunday night meal, or sorry, Saturday night meal, as healthy as possible. Um, just to use up as much of that produce as possible in the healthiest way possible. For example, today I made a cucumber salad out of the fresh cucumbers, spring onions, fresh carrots that came in our farm share box. I made a dressing out of a little bit of mayonnaise, not a whole lot, maybe 2 points worth of mayonnaise, about a half a cup of fat-free sour cream, some mustard, some like spicy mustard, fresh dill, white wine vinegar, salt, pepper, and pretty much it. Can't think of anything else that I put into it. Kind of mixed all that together and poured it over all of those vegetables, tossed it up, and let it sort of marinate in the fridge for a little while. That whole thing, each serving, about a cup's worth of it was maybe 4 points, so that was pretty good. I made a sort of a saute of fresh green beans that came in our basket, beets that came in the basket that I roasted off and then diced up and threw that in there. And then I had onions and garlic, mushrooms that I added to it, sauteed all together, and then when it was done, I put just a little bit of margarine in there to toss it all together to kind of bring it all together a little bit. Salt and pepper, of course. And that was pretty good. Not sure exactly how fond I am of beets in that form. As you might have heard, my wife was not fond of the beets very much at all. Um, this is not the first time we got beets in our basket. We've gotten them before. And one of the previous times that I did them, I just roasted them off, diced them up, and had those. We dressed with a little bit of margarine. We didn't like those then either. The second time, I diced them up raw before even cooking them, and cooked them with some cabbage and made a soup out of that and blended it up, and that was perfect. That was great. It was really delicious, actually. Um, that's another one of the healthy meals that I made was the cabbage soup. Um, so, I mean, using stuff up like that is pretty good. And then to go with that, I had actually bought a chicken uh, turkey breast, like just one piece of turkey breast that had been already cut into cutlets, into slices. So it actually made four of them, and I cooked all four. We each had one tonight. They were about 3 ounces each, and we'll have the other two probably for tomorrow's dinner. And that was really good. Made sort of a pan sauce with some chicken broth and some fresh sage, a little bit of seasoning and stuff. That was pretty good as well. And a little bit of the fat-free sour cream in there to sort of thicken it up and make it creamy, but not with cream. And had that on the chicken. That was really good. So that's one example. I had the soup that I was talking about. We had a lot of cabbage in there, so I made the cabbage and beet soup. And then I made coleslaw with cabbage and spring onions and carrots that came in the basket. That was very low in points also. Then I did, we've had lots of tomatoes in the basket, so I've been eating those a lot. I'm a huge fan of tomatoes. They're probably my absolute favorite vegetable. Yes, I know they're a fruit. Shut up, I don't care. Vegetable. Actually, technically they're a berry, but whatever. Anyway, they're a vegetable, and but probably my favorite vegetable. I actually tend to eat them a decent amount with cottage cheese. I used to eat the regular cottage cheese, but now since I've been on this diet, I'm actually using fat-free cottage cheese for so many things. I almost always have it around. So I've been eating my tomatoes with the fat-free cottage cheese, and I almost don't notice a difference. It just tastes just as good as it used to. So I'll be eating a ton of tomatoes for different snacks and things here and there, so that's great. Using a lot of those vegetables, I think, is probably helping us out a lot in terms of just flat-out nutrition. I mean, we always used to eat vegetables, but most of our vegetables we used to eat were canned and or frozen or something like that. Now, frozen are usually okay, because a lot of times, especially with like peas and corn and things like that, they get frozen almost immediately after picking, so they don't really have a chance to degrade at all in terms of their nutrients or whatever. So that's fine, but there's so many vegetables that aren't good frozen. For a great example is broccoli. Frozen broccoli is really not good at all. I mean, it's okay, and we do eat it sometimes if we can't get fresh broccoli, like in the middle of the winter when the broccoli that you get fresh is kind of horrible. We'll sometimes eat the frozen stuff, or in the winter when the fresh stuff is expensive, we'll sometimes get the frozen stuff. But really, honestly, much rather have the fresh stuff over the frozen, and in terms of broccoli. Peas, I think peas are much better frozen than any other way. If you're looking for that sort of fresh pea taste, I kind of like my peas cooked to death, so I'm fine with the can. But the can, I mean, when they've been in the can and cooked like that, there's really almost next to nothing left in terms of the good nutrients that are in those. So I tend to try to do the can or the frozen one instead. Same with the corn. Green beans are not good frozen, so I tend to go with the canned there as well. But again, uh, green beans are generally overcooked, so you lose a lot of the nutrients. This is probably the first time I've ever cooked with fresh green beans where I didn't cook them forever. Growing up, we would do a lot of crock pot green beans or pressure cooker green beans, where they'd be all put in there with like a little bit of water and like some sort of ham hock or something like that, and then just cooked forever until they were like honestly mushy. This is the first time I think I've cooked them where they weren't like that. One of my favorite Chinese restaurants makes green beans like a stir fry. It has like, I'm not sure exactly what they put in it, but it tastes like it has sesame oil, garlic, a little bit of soy sauce, and maybe some hoisin. Maybe even a little bit of ginger, but I don't really taste ginger that much. So if it's in there, it's very little. And then just sort of stir fry it, and it's really, really good. It's one of my favorite things that they have there. So I think that's something that I'm going to try if we get some more green beans in the next basket. Is go ahead and do that stir fry because I really like it a lot. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, I'm trying to have us have a lot more vegetables because we'd started getting away from that a little bit. When we first started this diet, we really cut out a lot of carbs. And we'd stayed without the carbs for quite a while, but then here probably in the last month or so, carbs have been sort of sneaking back in a little bit. Well, at least more than we'd had them previously. So I'm trying to kind of work those back out again and work more vegetables back in. So yeah. But anyway, I do have Gen Con coming up again this year in a couple of months. A little less than 2 months at this point, actually. And I have noticed that in the time since I've been back to work and started gaining some weight back again, I am getting tired faster than I used to, especially the last couple of years when I've gone to Gen Con. So I'm very anxious about that, I guess is the best way for me to explain it. I'm not really on top of it. So I don't know. We'll get to that when we get to it, I guess. But that's something that's in the back of my mind right now, is making sure that I'm going to be fit and ready for that, because I'm kind of worried right now that I might not be. For example, I went to the grocery store this morning to do some mid-level grocery shopping. I wouldn't say it was a full trip, but it wasn't really light either. I mean, I got a decent amount of stuff. And by the time my trip was over, I was fairly tired. I wasn't exhausted. I was at the point to where if I had probably sat down for a couple of minutes, I probably would have been okay to just keep going for a while. And that is something I did notice at Gen Con the last couple of years, is while I would get kind of tired, a quick 5-minute break of getting a chance to sit down somewhere would usually top that and help me out with that. So I'm kind of hoping that's kind of where I'm at now, and it's not really as bad as I thought it was. So that's where I'm at right now. Just wanted to kind of let everybody know where I was. I didn't stop entirely. I just needed kind of a break. Needed to kind of take a minute to think about where I was and what was making me unhappy. And my, I guess, goals for how to change that. So again, that's where I'm at right now. I guess that's all I have to say. So until next time, I will keep waging the war against your waistline. Hope you keep waging the war against your waistline. I am your Portly Paladin. Have a good one.